There is a moment that almost every woman I have worked with in my clinical practice describes with a chilling similarity. It usually happens quietly. You are sitting across from him at a cafe, or perhaps you are reading a text message he just sent, and a feeling washes over you that is so heavy, so profound, and so eerily familiar that it feels less like an emotion and more like a memory. You think to yourself, I know this person. I have known him forever. You feel understood in a way you haven't felt in decades. Perhaps not since you were a young girl, or perhaps never at all. The coincidences are startling. He likes the obscure jazz record you love. He uses the same phrases your father used to use. He appears in your life exactly when you were ready to give up on love entirely. And then the thought crystallizes in your mind. The thought that Carl Jung himself spent a lifetime analyzing. This person is meant for you. But here is the hard truth that I have to share with you today. A truth that is often difficult to hear, but essential for your survival. Just because a person is meant for you does not mean they are meant to stay, and it certainly does not mean they are safe. In my years of clinical practice specializing in the psychology of women over 50 and 60, I have seen that this feeling, this click, this sense of destiny, is often not a sign of a soulmate, but a sign of a psychological mechanism kicking into gear. It is a mechanism that can lead you to the most profound love of your life. Yes, but more often, if left unexamined, it leads to the dismantling of your autonomy, your finances, and your emotional sanity. I want to tell you about a woman named Elena. Elena was 62, a retired academic, incredibly sharp, widowed for 5 years. She met a man named Julian at an art gallery. It was electric. She told me, it's as if my soul recognized him. Jung would call this synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence. But within 6 months, Elena was isolated from her adult children. Her savings were being drained to fund Julian's temporary business setbacks, and she was racked with anxiety. She kept telling herself, but he is meant for me. The universe brought him here. She was right. He was meant for her. But he was meant for her in the way a mirror is meant for you, to show you something you have been hiding from yourself, not to be the architect of your future happiness. Today, we are going to walk through the deep psychology of why we feel this intense, fateful connection, especially later in life, and how to tell the difference between a divine union and a deadly trap. I am AK Automation, and in my years of experience, I have guided countless women through the treacherous waters of late life romance. The patterns I am about to reveal are subtle. They hide behind the mask of true love. Intelligent, successful women fall into these patterns every single day because intelligence does not protect you from the subconscious. Only awareness does. Before we descend into the depths of the psyche, I ask you to take a brief moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This isn't for vanity. It is because the algorithm needs to know that women of your generation are demanding content that respects your intelligence and protects your well-being. By engaging, you help put this warning in front of another woman who might be sitting across from a Julian right now, unsure of what she is feeling. And I urge you, stay with me until the very end of this discussion. In the final moments, I'm going to give you a specific set of diagnostic questions, a litmus test that will cut through the fog of emotion and tell you with brutal accuracy if the person meant for you is a destiny or a danger. Let us begin by dissecting what Carl Jung meant when he spoke of the other and how this manifests as the first major pattern I see in women over 50, the animus projection. This is the first danger, and it is the most common reason you feel an undeniable magnetic pull toward a specific man. In Jungian psychology, the animus is the unconscious masculine side of a woman. It represents your inner authority, your logic, your capacity for boundaries, and your drive. Throughout your life, especially if you were raised in a generation that taught you to be agreeable, accommodating, or ladylike, you may have suppressed this powerful assertive energy. You shoved it into the shadow. When you meet a man who embodies the qualities you have suppressed in yourself, assertiveness, dominance, perhaps even a touch of selfishness or aggression, your subconscious mind lights up. You project your own hidden power onto him. You think, he is so strong, he is so decisive, he completes me. You feel meant for him because he is holding the missing piece of your own psyche. But here is the trap. You fall in love with his strength, but you end up controlled by it. I worked with a woman named Sarah, 58, a brilliant nurse who had spent her life caring for others. She met a man who was brash, opinionated, and directed everything. He decided where they ate, what they watched, and how she spent her weekends. Sarah felt safe. She felt he was destiny because he took charge. But he wasn't taking charge because he loved her. He was taking charge because he was a narcissist who required compliance. Sarah had projected her own animus onto him. She didn't need him to be strong for her. She needed to integrate that strength into herself. The danger here is that you mistake being dominated for being loved. You mistake his control for protection. If you feel a magnetic pull toward a man because he seems to have all the power you feel you lack, you are not meeting your soulmate, you are meeting your stolen autonomy. Concrete rule: if you admire a trait in him that you feel you are not allowed to have, do not date him. Cultivate that trait in yourself first. This leads us into the second and perhaps more insidious danger, the rescue fantasy disguised as a karmic bond. Jung spoke often of the wounded healer. Many women in their 50s and 60s have spent decades in the role of the nurturer. You have raised children, you have supported spouses, you have cared for aging parents. It is woven into your identity. When the nest is empty and the parents have passed, there is a void. Into this void walks a man who is meant for you, but he is broken. He has a sad story. His ex-wife ruined him, his business partner betrayed him, his health is fragile, he's a misunderstood genius. You listen to him, and your heart swells. You feel a deep ancient urge to heal him. You think, I'm the only one who understands him. That is why we met. My love will fix him. You label this dysfunction as fate. You believe the difficulty of the relationship is proof of its depth. But in clinical terms, this is not a karmic bond. It is a repetition compulsion. You are repeating the role of the mother or the caretaker because it is the only way you know how to feel valuable. The danger here is immense, particularly regarding your resources. I have seen women liquidate retirement accounts to help a soulmate start a business that never launches. I have seen them invite men into their homes within weeks because he has nowhere else to go, and the connection is so strong. This man is meant for you, yes. He is meant to teach you that you are worthy of love without having to work for it. He is meant to teach you that your value is not in your utility. But if you do not learn the lesson, you will simply become his nurse and his banker. True love in the second half of life should be about two whole people sharing a journey, not one person carrying the other. Concrete rule: never give financial assistance or housing to a romantic partner you have known for less than 1 year, no matter how tragic his story is. The third hidden pattern is what I call the unlived life reflection. Jung believed that the second half of life is for individuation, becoming who you truly are. But if you have spent your life doing what you should do, you likely have a massive reservoir of unlived life adventures you didn't take, art you didn't make, rebellion you stifled, Then you meet a man who represents that freedom. He is unconventional. Maybe he's a bit of a wanderer, an artist, or he rejects societal norms. He is exciting. He makes you feel alive in a way you haven't felt since you were 20. You tell your friends, he wakes me up. He is meant for me. And again, he is. He is a mirror of the life you want to live. But the danger is that you confuse the lifestyle with the man. Often these men are exciting because they are unstable. They are free because they are irresponsible. They reject norms because they cannot function within them. I recall a client, Margaret, 65, who fell for a man who lived on a sailboat. She hated sailing. She needed stability for her health conditions. But she was so enamored with the idea of his freedom that she tried to mold herself into a sailor. She stopped taking her medication regularly. She cut off contact with her bridge club. She tried to become a wild woman. It ended in a severe health crisis. She wasn't meant to be with him. She was meant to integrate a little bit of wildness into her own stable life. She needed to take a painting class or travel more, not anchor herself to a man who couldn't offer her security. The unlived life partner is a muse, not a husband. Concrete rule. If you have to fundamentally change your daily routine, your health habits, or your core values to keep the spark alive, you are not in love. You are in a crisis of identity. Now, we must discuss a danger specific to this season of your life, something that younger women do not face in the same way. The fourth pattern is the last chance terror. This is the shadow side of hope. As we age, we become acutely aware of time. We see our mortality. We see the years narrowing. When a man appears who shows interest, affection, and desire, a primal fear can seize the brain. The subconscious whispers, "This is it. This is the last bus leaving the station. If you don't get on this one, you will die alone." This fear is a master of disguise. It dresses itself up as passion. You rush the relationship not because the connection is solid, but because you are terrified of the silence that will follow if he leaves. This urgency blinds you to red flags that you would have spotted instantly in your 40s. You tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or lack of effort, because at least he is here. Jung warned us that fear is a terrible architect for life. Relationships built on the foundation of "I don't want to be alone" are inherently unstable because they place a burden on the partner to be your entire emotional support system. The last chance terror also makes you vulnerable to predators who specifically target older women. These predators know that loneliness can look like openness. They know that if they shower you with attention, what we call love bombing, you will be so relieved to be seen as a sexual, desirable woman again that you will open the gates to your castle before checking their credentials. They leverage the meant-to-be narrative. They will say things like, "I've been waiting for you all my life," or "Age is just a number, our souls are ancient." These are scripts. Concrete rules: slow down. If it is truly meant to be, it will survive a slow pace. If he presses for commitment, cohabitation, or financial merging quickly, it is not destiny, it is a heist. Let us zoom out for a moment. We have talked about the psychological mechanisms, but we must look at the collateral damage. When you fall into these traps of believing a dysfunctional person is meant for you, the consequences ripple outward, destroying more than just your romantic life. The first casualty is often your relationship with your adult children. I have sat in counseling sessions with weeping daughters and angry sons who feel they have lost their mother to a stranger. When you are in the grip of a projection, you tend to defend the man against all criticism. If your children say, "Mom, I don't like how he speaks to you," or "Mom, why is he using your car?" you react defensively. You say, "You just don't understand our connection. He is the love of my life." You push your family away to protect the fantasy. This isolation is exactly what a toxic partner wants. It leaves you with no reality check. I have seen women jeopardize their relationships with their grandchildren because the new partner doesn't like noise or wants you all to himself. This is a tragedy. Your legacy is not just your money, it is the emotional web you have built over decades. To tear it down for a connection that has existed for 6 months is a sign of a deep psychological hijacking. Furthermore, there is the physical toll. The stress of maintaining a relationship that is meant to be, but is actually full of conflict, secrecy, or misalignment, wreaks havoc on the body. Cortisol levels spike. Sleep is disrupted. Existing conditions like hypertension or autoimmune issues flare up. Your body often knows the truth before your mind does. If you are with the person meant for you, but you are experiencing insomnia, stomach issues, or constant fatigue, your body is screaming that this is a threat, not a sanctuary. Jung emphasized the mind-body connection. Your physical symptoms are symbols of your psychic distress. So, if these are the dangers, does this mean you should close your heart? Does this mean that at 60 or 70, love is impossible? Absolutely not. Love in the later years can be the most profound, rewarding experience of a human life. But it requires a different model than the fairy tales we were fed as children. The healthy alternative to the destined collision is the conscious companion, a man who is truly meant for you in a healthy way, will respect the life you have built. He will not ask you to tear down your foundations. He will fit into your life like a missing puzzle piece, not like a wrecking ball. We are seeing a rise in what sociologists call living apart together, LAT. This is a model where two people are deeply committed, perhaps even monogamous, but they maintain their own residences, their own finances, and their own autonomy. They come together for companionship, for intimacy, for travel, for joy, but they do not merge their infrastructures. This prevents the nurse and banker dynamic. It allows the romance to breathe without the suffocation of domestic drudgery. For many women over 50, this is the ultimate liberation. You keep your sanctuary and you have your love. A man who is truly meant for you will celebrate your autonomy. He will be proud of your relationships with your children. He will encourage you to see your friends. He will not need to be saved, nor will he try to save you. The connection will feel calm. That is the key word, calm. Trauma feels like a roller coaster. True love feels like a calm sea. It is boring to the ego, but nourishing to the soul. We must also talk about your emotional legacy. You have spent decades building your identity. You are a survivor. You have weathered storms. When you look in the mirror, you must ask yourself, do I want to spend my final chapters anxious, managing a man's emotions and defending him to my family? Or do I want to be the matriarch, the wise woman, the one who models for her granddaughters what self-respect looks like? The person meant for you is the one who helps you become that version of yourself. Sometimes the person meant for you is you. Sometimes the lesson is that you are finally whole on your own, and any partner is just a pleasant addition, not a necessary component. Now, as I promised at the beginning, we have arrived at the most critical part of this discussion. I want you to close your eyes for a moment if it is safe to do so, or just soften your gaze. I'm going to ask you a series of self-diagnostic questions. These are questions I use in clinical settings to pierce through the veil of denial. Answer them honestly. No one can hear you but you. Question 1. When you are away from him, do you feel calm and secure, or do you feel a gnawing anxiety that something is wrong or that he might lose interest? Question 2. Do you find yourself carefully editing what you tell your friends and family about him because you are afraid they will judge his behavior? Secrecy is the enemy of intimacy. Question 3. Is the relationship balanced in terms of resources? Are you paying for the majority of outings, travel, or bills? Does he always seem to have a temporary financial crisis? Question 4. Do you feel energized after spending time with him? Or do you feel drained, like you have just performed a long emotional play? Question 5. Does he ask you deep questions about your life, your thoughts, and your feelings? Or does the conversation invariably circle back to his problems, his ex-wives, and his ailments? Question 6. If your daughter or your best friend were in this exact relationship with this exact man, would you be happy for her or would you be terrified? Question 7. Do you feel like you can be your ugly self around him, tired, sick, cranky, no makeup, or do you feel you must maintain a performance of the ideal woman to keep his attention? If you answered yes to the anxiety, the secrecy, the draining feeling, or the need to perform, then I must tell you gently but firmly, this person may be meant for you in the Jungian sense, as a teacher, as a mirror, as a test of your boundaries. But he is not meant to be your life partner. The lesson is to let go. The lesson is to choose yourself. Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Recognizing that the magical connection is actually a psychological trap is painful. It requires grieving the fantasy. It requires facing the loneliness. But on the other side of that pain is true freedom. You are not a half person waiting for a man to complete you. You are a universe unto yourself. Do not doubt that people are sent into our lives for a reason, but do not doubt your own intuition when it whispers that the reason is to teach you how to say no. Your heart is a precious vessel filled with a lifetime of love to give. Protect it, guard it, and only share it with someone who treats it with the reverence it deserves. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If this message resonated with you, if you saw a piece of your own story in Elena, Sarah, or Margaret, please take a moment to subscribe and share this with a friend. We are building a community of wise, awake women here. Until next time, remember, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with the woman in the mirror. She is the one who is truly meant for you.